doesn't seem to be happening within the houses. Apparently, we are having a lot of problems that we are not solving when they should have been solved.
In his 20s, Malang Sonko is the suspect helping police investigations into a murder perpetrated very close to home. Police sources indicate that the victim was attacked when he brought a gallon of water he fetched for the suspect's mother. Sources say she was one of the people who tried to restrain the suspect, including a neighbor who made an apt scream for help, which never came. The victim was almost beheaded by them. A gruesome crime scene, the only reminder of the quick turn of events which led to Mbemba Jallo's death.
These people had dinner together. Several or even less than an hour later, this whole thing happened. So it's in-house. Probably they were having problems earlier. And unless the community members come back, and we should be able to sense some of these grievances that we have against each other, work on them before they eventually boil over. And all of these cases that we are registering recently are as a result of this.
Domestic situations are one special area where police have little or no jurisdiction. But what about community policing? It could probably be the best answer in such circumstances. Malang Sonko has now been charged with murder contrary to Section 187 of the Criminal Code. Ibrahim Chata, GRTS.
Residents of Banjulinding have received funds amounting to over $200,000 to rehabilitate the Village Skills Acquisition Center. Fatou Jase was at the handing over ceremony, and she reports the repairs are being paid for by the Rotary Club, University of Seattle, USA.
Region have a cause to rejoice after being presented a check of $235,000 earmarked for the rehabilitation of the Community Skill Training Center. The donation was made by the Rotary Club University of Seattle in the USA through Binta Baji, a Peace Corps volunteer who has worked in the Gambia over the years.
So with your strength, I was able to work for 7 months and obtained funding for the Banjulinding Skills Center. We were awarded, through Gambia Help and the Rotary, $235,000 for the rehabilitation of the Skills Center. This investment in the center will go toward the promotion and development of income-generating enterprises.
Apart from this latest donation of cash, Binta and her club are said to have been involved in the construction of a skills acquisition center. Other beneficiaries include needy and deserving students in the Central River region.
With your help, we've been able to build 2 IT laboratories in the Central River Division, rehabilitate libraries at over 50 locations, built skill centers where people are now learning how to produce and market materials, funded Cereal Bank, which provides food to villagers during the hungry season, and funded 5 wells.
Binta, however, used the platform to commend the women folk whom she described as hardworking. She reminded them of the need for teamwork to further better their lot. The alcalde of Banjulinding, Mumudu Lami Longs Jaju, who spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries, expressed appreciation for the gesture and added the cash would be spent on the internet project. For GRTS News, I am Fatou Jassi.
Outstanding and deserving workers of Fajikunda Major Health Center, who provide valuable health services to over 200,000 people residing in the West Coast region, One Health Zone, recently received awards and other forms of accolade for their dedication to duty. And that report will come in our 10 o'clock news bulletin. We'll take our first break. Stay tuned.
Lucozade Energy, energizing Gambia.
Welcome back. Kenya's outgoing Prime Minister Raila Odinga is poised to challenge the results from last week's general election in court. Odinga, who lost the race by a wafer-thin margin, is alleging fraud, and former South African president and anti-apartheid icon Nelson Mandela recently spent a night in hospital for routine medical checkup. But despite assurances that there was no cause for concern, there was widespread anxiety in the country he helped to liberate in 1994. Let's look at this report from CFI.
Is preparing an appeal at the Supreme Court for alleged fraud during the country's general elections last week. Odinga was defeated in the presidential poll by Uhuru Kenyatta, who won a majority with just 50.07% of the vote. Odinga called on his supporters to remain calm while alleging massive irregularities in some constituencies.
Thank you, Mr.
Kenya's Chief Justice, Willy Mutunga, has the power to order a recount, order a whole new election, or dismiss the petition.
Ready to hear these disputes in
President Pierre Nkurunziza of Burundi met with French President François Hollande in Paris. Their talks centered on bilateral cooperation. Burundi is on the priority list of French aid to Africa. Burundi says it is willing to send a contingent of at least 800 troops to Mali. France would like to see this contingent join the African force in Mali as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Paris saluted the recent release of journalist Hassan Ruvakuki, who was arrested in November 2011, accused of taking part in a rebel movement. Mali's transition president, Diokounda Traoré, wrapped up a visit to Mauritania, during which he met his counterpart, Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz. The two heads of state discussed the military situation in Mali. President Ould Abdelaziz said he would not rule out contributing to a UN force if the situation improves. After Nouakchott, the Malian president heads to Senegal to meet with President Macky Sall. Again, regional help to Mali will dominate talks. Former South African President Nelson Mandela is back home after spending a night in a Pretoria hospital for a medical checkup. His state is said to be satisfactory. News of Mandela's latest hospitalization sparked concern that he had fallen ill again. Mandela spent 3 weeks in hospital in December for a lung infection. He has grown increasingly frail in recent years and has not appeared in public since South Africa's Football World Cup final in 2010.
The College of Cardinals has 209 members, but it is only 115 that are planning to vote. They are called the Cardinal Electors. The Cardinals have now been secluded from the rest of the world in preparation to elect a new pope. CNN's Jonathan Mann explains the process that leads to the selection of a new pope.
During electoral system in the world, and many of its traditions have been unchanged for centuries. The conclave, which literally means locked with a key, dates back to a time when cardinals were locked in until they chose a new pope. Now it's the world that's locked out, figuratively speaking, as much of the conclave will take place behind closed doors. The gathering begins with a morning mass in St. Peter's Basilica. In the afternoon, the 115 voting cardinals, those under 80 years old, enter the Sistine Chapel, where each will take an oath of secrecy. The penalty, automatic excommunication. After the oath, preparations are made for the election, taken by secret ballot. Lots are drawn to select 3 cardinals who will help collect ballots, 3 more cardinals to count the votes, and 3 others to review the results. Printed on the ballots, the words, Eligio in summum pontificum, meaning, I elect as supreme pontiff. Each elector writes the name of one candidate on the lower half of the ballot and folds it in half. Cardinals are not allowed to vote for themselves. Then, in order of seniority, the cardinals take their ballots to the altar. Each places a folded ballot onto a small disc, and then the ballot is dropped into a chalice. Once all the votes are cast, the ballots are tallied, and the results are read aloud. More than a 2/3 majority is needed to declare a winner, in this case 77 votes. If there is no winner, there's another vote. If there is still no winner, 2 more votes are scheduled for the afternoon. Voting continues up to 4 ballots each day until there is a winner. The ballots are burned after each session in an incinerator inside the chapel. If there's no winner, they're burned with a chemical that gives off black smoke, telling the crowd waiting in St. Peter's Square that a new pope has not yet been selected. When there is a winner, white smoke, a sign from the Cardinals that they have chosen a